We have an audience of people here profoundly interested in the problems of the homeless, and we're just going to really enjoy looking at some beauty. Don't these flowers look beautiful, folks? They really do. With us right now is Tom Pritchard. Tom Pritchard is with a Madderlake florist shop, which is located at Madison and 73rd, and he's also author of this book. It is called Madderlake Flowers Rediscovered. Let's have a nice welcome, please, for Tom Pritchard.
Thank you.
Tom?
Thank you.
Well, now, right off the bat, you told me an interesting thing. You were going all around the country talking about flowers because you're trying to wake up florists. Are we taking them for granted, and are florists taking flowers for granted?
I think they are, and not only florists, but people as well. And I think it's because they just haven't seen the kinds of things that we can really have. I mean, you know as well as I do that all over the country you get the same old things, chrysanthemums, gladiolas, carnations, right, and all of that. But, you know, we can see just here, and we've only brought a fraction of things from our shop, that incredible things are available.
All right, well, let's look at, take our time here and look at some of the things. Let's start on the very end.
Okay.
Describe what we've got on the very end of those little orange things.
Anthuriums are things that people like to give, and what we're saying is, I think that they're often overdone, and, you know, maybe you should give a plant instead, and this is the kind of thing that lasts for a long time and has a very nice shape, and, you know, it's a very nice thing.
My personal favorite, I don't eat them, so they're not my favorite flower is a tulip. I don't know why. I've liked them always ever since I was a little child. What's so special about this group of tulips that you brought today?
Well, one of the things is that it's planted in this box. And, you know, what we're trying to do often, and you can see it also in some of the other things we'll look at, is something very casual, very natural, something you might just have, you know, that anybody can set up. And the wonderful thing about tulips is, although we have red for Valentine's Day, they're easily 20 or 30 or 40 varieties.
Different varieties.
Parrots and peonies.
Did we get a good look at how how are they in the box, and how long would they last like this indoors, okay?
Well, it takes about 3 or 4 weeks for them to really come up, and then they start to flower. And it really depends on whether, if it's really cool, things last longer. If they're really in a hot apartment, they'll tend to bloom out in a shorter time.
Right.
Easily 2 weeks, though.
2 weeks, and then
maybe more.
Can they be replanted outside? How does that work?
Yeah, it's like any bulb. It has to go through the whole process of going, you know, dying down, and then it needs to cure the way that they do in the garden with sun comes down and the chlorophyll. The whole process goes, and then they can be replanted.
All right. I also want to say, if there's anybody with questions on flowers for Tom, our number is 570-1199. As we move along, now this is just kind of a simple thing. How would you tell your florist that you wanted to do this? What is this?
This is a little bit harder,
let me hold on to this. We got the shot locked in. Go ahead.
I brought this along just to say that there are so many other things that we don't have. This is called a diplodemia, and it's a flowering vine. If people don't know that this kind of thing is available, then they can't ask for it. And if they don't ask for it, then nobody's going to make it.
Then no one's going to say, I think this person needs a diplodemia.
And in one thing we're trying to do with the book that we wrote is to show people much more alternatives than they've ever had before.
Okay. In the center here, what is this, Tom?
It's a little miniature primrose, actually 2 or 3 of them that we potted down and put together. Very simple spring flowers, but very stylish. And,
okay. If you were using a florist, you could say, look, I don't want chrysanthemums, I don't want carnations, I don't want that stuff. I want something like this. But how would you describe something like this?
That's a little bit more difficult. This is a mixed arrangement, but what we like to do is to clip out of plants and things that you would normally not find. So in here you see you have 2 or 3 different kinds of geraniums. And I think almost anybody has geraniums growing on a windowsill. Little bits and pieces about other plants. This is a hanging geranium, larkspur, poppies, and so on. I would say it's a simple mix, but you would describe it as being very naturally done, and not, you know, not one of those mounds of things that are all forced.
Could you specifically say what's in and what's out in terms of flowers?
I don't think anything is inherently in or out, and I think it really has to do with people's preferences. But I think that one thing you can say is certain flowers are truly overused and overworked.
All right, which you said before. Somebody on the line with a question. Bill Boggs here with you on Midday. Hello? If you're listening, you're on. Hello?
Do you have a remedy for red spiders in home plants?
Classic.
Red spider love heat. And so any place that's really hot is someplace that a red spider is going to breed. But there are various sprays that you can do. I think that malathion is one.
Okay, malathion. Keep it away from the kids and yourself. I got a couple of questions. If you get fresh flowers, or give them lucky enough to get them, or give them Valentine's Day, what are your tips on making them last as long as possible at home? People like to drop copper pennies in. They go through all kinds of things.
I tell you, if you have a home remedy that works, you know, go ahead and use it. I don't know that any of them do or don't work. Some people say sugar, some people say vinegar, some, you know, pennies.
You don't say any of that stuff.
I think that heat is the real enemy, so that if you can keep something cool and also keep the stems cut, you know, so that water can keep coming up, because it's when water gets out of the flower that they really begin to die.
All right, very quickly, last-minute ideas for Valentine's Day would be what?
Just spring bulbs, something as simple as a little tiny primrose potted in a little pot.
But do it yourself.
Very sweet.
All right, let me put this in the shot. Here, you got it. There you are, Paul. It's a very simple little thing like that, but something that shows your own thought involved.
Then we have the classic, which is the one red rose, which says, obviously says, I love you.
It says something
and
very
it is
nice, I think.
the classic.
And what would be the other end of the extreme on something like this?
We like to give a whole bouquet of things, and these are flowers that you would choose yourself.
Isn't that gorgeous?
But it should be bright and colorful and full of variety and not ordinary looking, but really something special.
Tom, thank you. Tom from Madderlake at Madison Avenue and 73rd Street. We'll be back right after this. We've got Sarah Dash. We've got a look at some underwear and bathing suits on men. Don't leave.